Well, thank you very much and good afternoon. The purpose of this press conference is to give you an update on service modifications within Fulton County government. Less than 2 weeks ago, Georgia's first 2 COVID-19 cases were announced here in Fulton County. And since that time, we've been literally working around the clock. The manager and his team have been involved in this as well. And as this situation has evolved quickly and rapidly, we've really been working with the governor's office, with the Board of Health, the Georgia Department of Public Health, our cities, our school boards, our sister counties, and even talking with the mayors. We have calls every day, so we're trying to keep and make sure that everyone is on the same page as we move forward. And as we consider our response to this unprecedented event, we're balancing the safety of our residents and employees with the need to continue important government services. The simple message is this: our key services will continue, but we will be making modifications with an emphasis on technology solutions. I want to thank all of our employees across Fulton County who are working with us. And my message to everyone listening, every resident of Fulton County in particular, is that Fulton County is prepared, but be calm and be cautious. Now I'd like to turn the program over to Dick Anderson, our county manager, so he will go into the specifics of what we're doing internally. And as he speaks, I'm joined by our Chief Operating Officer, Anna Roach, our Chief Financial Officer, Sharon Whitmore, and our Deputy Chief Operating Officer for Public Safety, Mr. Alton Adams.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Let me just cover, first of all, under the Chairman Pitts' leadership and his colleagues on the Board of Commissioners, we've established a communications cadence with all of our cities and our school systems. And that starts with the 10 p.m. Press release from the Department of Public Health with any new cases that have arisen in Fulton County, as well as new information. We have a 9 a.m. then conference call the next morning with Dr. Sandra Ford, who is the Public Health Director for Fulton County. And then we do a distribution of information post that conference call to all of our cities and schools. If there's action required, then we hold a conference call during the day. So this past week, we've held conference calls on 3 different days, including today. That helps us keep all together and on the same page, and as issues arise that are cross-jurisdictional or we could help one another with, that facilitates that process. Let me start with the operations plan that we have presented to the Board of Commissioners. As the Chairman said, all of our essential operations will continue with an emphasis on services that are legally required and serve both public health and public safety. So offices like our Sheriff's Office, Fulton County Police, Public Health, water treatment plants will continue with no impact. Services where the risk to the community exposure to COVID-19 increases will be suspended. Those will include senior service centers, libraries, arts and culture centers, and our community development efforts. So in that case, while those buildings or those services will be suspending, those buildings will still be utilized for early voting locations and then on day of voting. So we'll be coordinating internally to ensure that those buildings are open for those functions, but those functions only. They will be closed for all other public access. And as well, we're coordinating with our schools because many voting locations on day of voting also occur in their locations, and they've assured us that those will be open for those purposes. We'll also be suspending all county-sponsored and county-staffed public meetings, events, and outreach activities until further notice. The one exception is the Board of Commissioners meeting, and it occurs this next Wednesday. It will go on as planned and normal from here in Assembly Hall at 141 Prior. As the Chairman said, we'll be using technology solutions wherever possible in order to minimize service delivery impacts. A couple, 3 specific things in addition to that. Number one, our tax offices will remain open with the exception of Greenbrier Mall and North Annex. They will be on a reduced and limited staff, but we think it's capable of handling the volume that we will see. Number two, the courts have entered an order under Chief Judge Brasher's supervision for jury trial and non-essential matters to be suspended for 30 days. So that will be occurring effective immediately. And last, we've been coordinating food service delivery both to our seniors, and we have a plan to deliver 1 meal per day to our seniors that are coming to our centers often for that meal, as well as both school systems, Fulton County Schools and Atlanta Public Schools, have identified 6 and 5 locations respectively where food will be available to their students. So that's a hugely important item, and our cities have offered to help in any way with that important effort. So again, as the chairman said, we'll use teleworking significantly going forward. Our essential employees, though, will be reporting to work, and in many cases there will be no difference. Employees who are in these departments that are considered to be suspended will be required to telework. If that's not available, we have made an administrative leave policy available to them if either impacted by the school closings and the necessity to find child care, and they are the ones that are ending up giving that child care, or if their location was closed for a COVID-19 driven event. So that's our plan, and again, we feel like that this plan both will be executed well and does, most importantly, protect the public and our employees from further spread of the virus.
Thank you, Dick. Let me just add that while we've been working, we've been really following the lead of the federal government, the leadership of Governor Kemp, but more importantly, our medical professionals. So with that being said, we'll take any questions that you may have.
So they may be still working at their locations, but not open to the public. So for example, we have libraries that are undergoing renovations today, yet to open. We have 12, in fact, that will be opening this year. They could very well be doing that kind of activity. Number two, they will be opening these locations if they are early voting locations. There will be a skeleton staff there available for that. They will telework if that's appropriate and the technology is already deployed to them and available. And if all of those conditions weren't the case, they could be on administrative leave at least for 14 days or 80 hours is what we've allotted for. No. So we have, specifically when we were planning this prior to making the decision to close our senior centers, because of that vulnerable population, we were doing extra screening in those centers with temperature checks and the like. What we would plan to do in our voting locations is look for anyone who has any symptoms. Obviously, we won't be doing temperature checks, but we would try to make sure that those are kept safe. We have not instituted any further checks at the entry to government locations, but we are asking our supervisors and our managers to be extra vigilant. And of course, we're asking employees that if they are sick and they're not feeling well to stay at home. Again, we're giving them these tools to be able to do where there's not a financial impact, and encouraging them to do so.
Can you speak more to what the county will do as it relates to election day, making sure that the equipment is safe?
So on election day, we have a very rigorous cleaning schedule that we've instituted. Of course, we have the good fortune of being able to practice now during early voting. And I would emphasize that early voting is one of the best tools that the public can use to prevent putting themselves in a situation whereby they're in a group of people that's perhaps larger than they might want to be. So I would still encourage them to do that, but both now and then we are doing cleaning of the screens on the new equipment routinely. We are, again, checking as folks come in. We do clean the site itself on a daily basis. So all of those measures are being taken to ensure that the voting site itself is secure from COVID-19. No, sir. There would not be. We were planning that for senior centers before we made the decision to close those centers. No.
Other questions? All right, thank you very much.